there, everyone. Welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Oh, wow. I think I'm shouting here. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. And by the way, it's Friday night, and you know what that means. Date night with the Ben Maynard program. Friday Night Live. That's right, people. So, as I said, a little housekeeping to take care of. And as you know, this program is available on multiple podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Or if you just search the Ben Maynard program, you'll see plenty of options. Choose your option and go with it. Or if you like me a lot, you'll steer your way to Buzzsprout because that's where my website is. Or, if you can't resist all this right here, maybe a little bit of that over there, and you're watching on YouTube, which you better be tonight because we're live, then, subscribe to the channel. Please do me a favor, subscribe. And I think you got to maybe hit that notification bell or something. I don't know. But you do it. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment. You know I like comments. You know I read all your comments. And I reply to all of your comments. So I like them. Keep them coming. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram. All one word, Ben Maynard Program. So plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure. And with that, it's Friday night and we're live. And I have sitting next to me in studio, my good buddy, Matt Davis. Thanks for being here, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Who would have thought 20 years ago, even 30 years ago now,
or 40-something years ago,
40-something years ago, we'd be sitting here doing a podcast.
I know, isn't that weird?
2024,
and we've known each other since like 1980, something like that.
79, 80, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, right around there. Oh, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I think we moved in 79 to the Broadway house, yeah.
So just to bring some of you up to speed, as you could tell, Matt and I have known each other for quite a long time, like 45 years or something like that. See, this is what's cool, right? Spaz, everyone knows Spaz, right? He's been on this show, I don't know, 4 or 5 times now. He's like a regular. Everyone knows that we've known each other for, I don't know, a little over 45 years, 46, 47 years, something like that. And Matt's here. We've known each other for about 45 years. So there's a common thread to all of that, is that I like people, or people like me, and they like to hang around me and stick around for a while, I suppose. But that's what it's all about. It's friendships and keeping those lifelong friendships. I think is very valuable.
100%. I mean, when you have a relationship that's enduring and lasting, and you pick up a conversation, whatever it was that was happening when you were in high school or after high school, or some life event that you have in common.
Right.
I mean, it's so important. It's what bonds us together as people. It helps us to demonstrate our love and our affection for one another. And those things are so important. I mean, it doesn't only happen with your spouse, who you hopefully you're married to for 45 years, right? But it helps us with all those people you grow up with, and that's one of the things I really like about friendship and just getting back together with people. When because we moved from Northern California back down, and I saw you were doing the podcast, and
we'll get into that in a little bit. We're going to get into that. I don't want to get into it too much right now because we're still I'm still setting everything up. But to what you said though is, and then we're going to get into the setup here, folks. All right, just so you know,
the setup.
The setup. Friendships, like we said, we've established friendships are really important. They're important to us, and it's people are not disposable.
Absolutely.
You keep the ones that you love close to you, and as I said, we're going to get into this as Friday Night Live moves on this evening, because it's been a little bit since Matt and I have seen each other, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But today, is Friday night. We are live and it's date night. That's right. Date night with Ben Maynard. How's that? What do you think about that, guys?
Well, I don't know what my wife would think about that.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her I was coming on a date with you. You said I was coming to hang out on your podcast.
Yeah. Well, so a couple of things to get started. We're gonna have all the regular stuff. Oh, let me do this real quick because we all know Friday Night Live is here. So let's do. There it is. Bam. All right, good. We got the phone number up. So listen, pick up the phone, call into the show. Oh yeah. If it sounds terrible tonight, people, I deeply apologize. Okay, I'm so sorry. The last show that we did was with Kim Kid Curry, the radio veteran, and I haven't changed anything in this studio since then. I did move a couple things around, and I moved them back, and I'm doing my microphone test. I mean, I don't know, 90 minutes ago, I'm doing a microphone test and a camera test, which I do before every episode just to kind of see if things are looking decent and sounding good. And it just sounded horrible. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to check all my levels, and you know me. Look, I've said it. This is I'm not the most technologically advanced person, and this show is being held together by Scotch tape and bubble gum. So
I can attest. I see some bubble gum right here.
at least some gum wrappers anyway, right? Because the gum might be on the bottom of your shoe now. But anyway, so we got all the regular stuff tonight. The Malort challenge is on. That's why the phone number's there at the bottom of the screen. Call in. Remember, if you call in, then I get to take a drink of this nasty stuff right here. Oh, there it is. This nasty stuff. Okay. Have you heard of this before, Matt?
Nope, and I won't drink any either.
Look, I won't subject you to that. I won't subject you. But what I do is to try to get engagement from the audience, I tell them call in, and if they call in, then I have to take a shot of this nasty stuff. Malort is the worst tasting liquor ever. It's from Chicago. It's from Jepson's in Chicago, and it was created during Prohibition. It was a way for them to still sell alcohol during Prohibition because it was sold as medicine, and it tastes horrible. It tastes a lot like mouthwash that has gone bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody calling. I want to see him drink a lot of that stuff.
Well, this isn't a drinking show, but let's, I don't want to be on the floor by the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
So, anyways, welcome to the show again. So the Malort challenge is on. We're going to play Stump the Chump if you guys want to. If you guys call in, you got to call in with your music trivia. And if you stump me, well, then I got to take a drink of that Malort right over there. Oh yeah, I do. And I've got my Mr. Spock shot glass right here. It's been sitting in this studio for how many months now? And all I do is pour the Malort in there and I drink it. I don't rinse this cup out, so it's got dust in there and everything. I just make it as disgusting as possible, people. Come on.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. So we'll get into today is a special day. We're gonna get into that in a little bit, but I want to get back to Matt here. So I said Matt and I, we've known each other for like 45 years.
He knows all my dirty secrets.
I know pretty much all of them, and he knows pretty much all of mine too. But that's the beauty in it. As friends, you and I, and the rest of the guys, we shared a lot of stuff. Yeah, you might have a different type of relationship with this friend than this one over here, and you can open up a little more to this one over here. You kind of hold back a couple things on this one over here, that type of stuff. But I mean, I think on the whole, growing up, we were fairly open with each other.
Well, I don't think when you're growing up, there's nothing to hide. I mean, especially among boys talking about girls and what they want, and what they can't have, and what they wish they had. And, and I think for girls it's probably the same way, and then they grow up to be women, and
and then it gets worse.
yeah, if you look at popular culture, you see all those things like Stand By Me. You see how boys treat each other in that movie, and it's one of the reasons I think that it's very endearing to people. And then you have other shows like the famous one with the ladies.
What's that? Sex in the City?
Yeah, Sex in the City. It was a big, very popular show.
Right.
It was very reflective of popular culture and just the
Right.
relationships that women have. And not that I am a Sex and the City watcher. I'm sorry, I'm kind of offend you guys, but if anybody who knows me knows I'll watch just about anything when it comes to a television show or a movie.
You know something? When we were kids and we were growing up, golly, Matt was the night owl of the group. I mean, gosh, he would stay up till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and one of the channels, I don't remember if it was Channel 9 or Channel 5, used to have what they called Movies Till Dawn. Channel 5, yeah. One of our local channels here, and Movies Till Dawn. And this guy knew all the classic movies because that's what they would show.
For sure.
And it's like
horror movies, especially. I was a sci-fi fan.
Yeah.
That started when I was in like the 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah.
Because I would sleep for 4 hours and I would wake up. So my parents' solution was to give me a black and white TV in the bedroom and tell me you could watch TV, just stay in bed.
Right.
And so I saw everything, the old black and white detectives and Humphrey Bogart and all that stuff.
Yeah. When we were in high school, I think, we were sophomores in high school, and that was right smack in the middle of the Pac-Man craze. And we had a bowling alley that was right up the street from our house. Matt lived right
Hadley Bowling Alley.
Hadley Lane. Hadley Lanes. It was our local bowling alley. It was 10 lanes, and the building was so small you couldn't understand how they could get 10 lanes into that little building.
Yeah, if you drive by there now, it's got that little house.
I think it's a house now,
in the corner, and you're like, the whole bowling alley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It unfortunately in 1987 we had the Whittier quake. It was so severely damaged that they couldn't save the building. They tore it down, and somebody must have bought the property and built a house on it. But that was our hangout, and they had a couple of pinball machines, and then we were there when they brought in asteroids.
When we used to rig the quarter, and
you take a piece of like thread, not strings. Strings too thick. You tape a piece of thread to the side of the quarter, and then you would tie it like to your belt loop, and then you would stick it in the coin slot, and then you just kind of tug on it, and you get free plays all day long on one quarter.
Henry would come over there like we were there for too long, us kids,
and didn't go after change.
We should have no money.
Yeah,
and he comes over and he's all like, "I know you got to do it," because he would find the quarter with the tape on it, and the thread stuck to it.
Because someone come over and then you just like pull the thread off the quarter.
Good days, good old days.
Yeah, it was Henry and Fred, and I think Henry's girlfriend was Leah or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were there. I think we might have been there on the day they brought Pac-Man into the bowling alley, and so we were right there, from the beginning of the Pac-Man craze, bringing it all right back around. So we're sophomores in high school, right in the middle of the Pac-Man craze, and Matt and I and our good buddy Nelson, we want to be industrious, and we want to make some money, and we start up our own gardening business.
Yeah.
And it was just the three of us. We had a lawnmower, we had an edger, we had hand shears to trim the hedges, and I think we had a broom and a rake. That was about it.
Yeah.
And we went out and we hustled, and we drummed up our own business. We made a flyer, and we hung it up at the grocery store. Remember, we posted it at the grocery store, whichever chain it was at that time, because it was so many different stores at that during that time. and they had a bulletin board where people would put their business cards, and we put our flyer there, and we had little tabs with I don't remember whose phone number it was. It might have been your number.
I don't think it was mine.
Yeah, I don't remember, but people would tear the tabs off. And they would call us. We drummed up business and we made money. And I used to bring my little boom box. And we had tunes going while we were playing, and we were saving up our money because we wanted to make a Pac-Man movie. Remember? Well, I think
we were going to buy a camera.
Yeah.
We were talking about costumes.
I think at that time we were going to make Pac-Man the bad guy.
That's right.
And the ghosts
were going to be the good
they
guys.
were going to be the good guys.
Oh.
And I think we were calling it something about the Waka Waka monster or something like that.
Maybe, yeah. That sounds familiar. I didn't remember that, but yeah, I think you're right.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yes. Good times, And it was just silly stuff like that, or we would hang out in your bedroom. You had out of all of us, you had the best stereo. You had this great stereo, and that's Adam Holland. Oh, wait a sec. Hold on a second, folks. Hold on a second here. Wait, come on up here. Oh, let me get my glasses on, and then I'm going to explain. This is good stuff. So my bad. I thought it was noontime. I can't. No, it's bad. Bad news. Oh man. I'll get into it right now. So I have the next couple of guests booked for the show, and the listeners, my audience here, they know that almost from day one of doing this podcast, the one guest I've been trying to get on like no other is Steve Augeri. And for those of you who may not know, Steve Augeri is the gentleman who took over for Steve Perry when he departed from Journey in 1997. And I love Steve Augeri. And I've reached out. We almost connected one time and didn't happen. Well, that was his lead guitarist right there texting me back. I had him booked for Tuesday of next week. And I had him booked for noon my time. And he thought it was noon his time. So he was just telling me he can't make it at noon his time. So I'm going to have to. I don't want to play hooky from work because I'm already off next Friday. So we may just have to reschedule that one. Doggone it. Anyway, I'm still looking forward to that because that was going to get me one step closer to getting Steve Augeri on the show.
I was watching the Journey documentary on Peacock before I came over here.
Really?
And Daniela turned it on, and I heard it. I was like, "What's this?" I don't remember the name, but I'm gonna go back home and watch it when I go home.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, they were interviewing Steve Augeri. He was talking about how he was like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do like Steve Perry. Can you imagine being the guy that has to replace Steve Perry?
There's like no bigger shoes to fill.
Right. And they were saying how he was the voice, and how even DJs were going like, "Oh yeah, there's no way Journey's are gonna survive now."
Yeah. Well, darn it. Well, we'll have to figure something out. Okay.
I'm available.
Back on track. So Matt, out of all of us, he had the best stereo. Turntable, dual seating, deck, and
You'll never guess where I got it.
I don't know. Where did you?
It was a birthday present from Zodi's.
Oh,
You remember Zodi's?
Zodi's. Yeah.
It was right over on Imperial, right by the 605.
It was like this, like Cerritos, Norwalk, that area. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted one that had a cassette tape, an 8-track, and a turntable.
Yeah.
That's what my dad got me. It was an Emerson, I remember.
Yeah.
And it had the dual monitors on it for the recording.
Yeah.
So they know where you're going.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going. And it had dual inputs for the microphones and all that. And what we would do you know, I'm sure we may not be the only ones ever to have done this, but we would, there'd be, it depended on what night of the, what night it was, what weekend it was, because we did this
Right.
quite a bit. There might be three of us, there might be six of us, and we would get in there and we would do improv. We would create a scenario. Usually it was based on a movie. There was a couple of times we created our own scenarios and we just went with it. No script, totally unscripted, 100%
That was the
improv.
best.
Yeah. And we would go and do our thing, and we would, just like this podcast, there's no editing. We didn't edit our cassettes either. We didn't edit those tapes. We let it go warts and all. And
Yeah, warts is a good way to talk about it.
yeah, warts and all. And when we flubbed something, we just kept right on rolling with it. We would start busting up and then get right back. We break that fourth wall and then we rebuild it and carry on. And like I said, we created a lot of different scenarios. We did a spoof on, gosh, if you remember, I know you remember, but anybody out there in the audience, because my demographic is like our age,
Right.
They are. The movie Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and we did a spoof on that.
Did one on Halloween.
Yeah, we did one on Halloween. We did one on. We didn't do one on Star Wars, but we used the characters from Star Wars.
Yeah.
We created our own scenario.
And I was listening to that today, and
Did you really?
I did, and I'm totally going. I'm thinking because I'm coming here tonight, and I'm like, I'm going to listen to this. So I'm listening to it, and I'm going like, how in the world did we mix the Justice League and Star Wars? And we were just so proud of ourselves. There's some in that on that tape. You can hear everybody's like, yeah, they're like clapping and cheering, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious for me, because we participated in it,
Right.
and Nelson, Stickman,
yeah.
and Spaz, Anthony, and Vince, who was a friend who was visiting from the Marine Corps with me. He had come home one weekend with me, and he was the one that did R2D2.
He did.
And Chewbacca.
Chewbacca. Yeah. We called him VD Cooper because those are his initials.
Yeah.
So we just called him VD. And yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to it. I was just like, oh my gosh, we were such dweebs. Dorks.
You know what? But I still have the original cassette. That original cassette. And I don't know, 15 years ago or so, for some reason I had it in my vehicle, and Matt burned a copy of it onto the CD, so I have that as well. So I have it in digital format too.
MP3 at home, dude.
Yeah. So, but that was I don't know if that was our crown jewel or not, because the Halloween, the Prom Night, those were great tapes. Yeah, and somebody did something. Somebody recorded over them. This guy over here. Wait, where's my thumb? There's my thumb. Yeah. So anyway, but just silly stuff as kids, and I think that's why later on, as young adults, and when I was listening to morning radio, and like we would listen to Rick Dees when we were still in high school. And Rick Dees, he's a big time guy, nationally known. If you know the song Disco Duck, that's Rick Dees. But he did mornings here on one of the top 40 stations back in the early 80s. He had about a 10-year run on there. Maybe it was longer, I don't know. But he would do sketches like that, and different scenarios. And then I graduated to my radio heroes, Mark and Brian, and they were doing that stuff. And I'm saying to myself, and you and I would talk about it and go, oh, wow.
Mark and Brian, I haven't thought about them in years.
But we would say, these guys are doing the same stupid stuff that we were doing 10 years before.
Yeah.
When we were kids. And so it made us think that we were even smarter than we were. So, but yeah, just stuff like that, silly stuff that you do. And it's a part of that that friendship process, and you hang on to that stuff. It's just good memories.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In fact, there's a part you mentioned we didn't edit it here, so but we did edit the Star Wars tape because there's a part where I'm doing Tagar, and my mom walks in the room, and I go, "Go away, go away, go away."
Right. You did stop it.
And so I had to stop the taping, and then we were like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And so, I think what we did was I kept saying, "Go away." And then you guys all said, like, "All right, we're going to leave."
Yeah, let's get out.
And I'm like, "No, come back."
Okay. He's getting it. So we got to set this up. Explain this, okay? Tagar is a character that Matt created even before we knew each other, and he had created that character, and we used it we used it in more than a couple of scenarios on our tapes. And Tagar was just this beast of a guy, and he was a scary guy. Well, I don't even know what he looked like. Nobody knew what he looked like. We all knew his voice.
We were afraid of his voice.
We were afraid of his voice, and so in that Star Wars scenario, we created a port scene, and it was I think Darth Vader was on trial for the murder of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
So Tagar was presiding over the proceedings. Judge Tagar. And so he had this big booming voice, and whenever Tagar spoke, you listened. He was better than E.F. Hutton.
Reduced the Wookiee to whimper.
Actually, he did. That's why.
At least on the tape. So.
Yeah. Chewbacca wasn't afraid of anything, but he was that day.
Yeah. I think Tagar would have been challenged by the real Chewbacca.
But yeah, so that's Tagar. So just give us just tiny bit of Tagar, just so people can really get a thing.
So his big thing was just, Tagar rules the universe. So
kind of like,
I'll do that.
He kind of would announce it. He would announce his presence.
Tagar rules the universe.
Something like that.
If you can imagine me doing that with a 16-year-old voice,
yeah. Yeah, but you always had a voice that sounded like you were 35.
Well, that's true. My voice does sound deep on the tape. That was one of the things I noticed. And then you were talking about the bubble gum and stuff before, and the tape, everything going together. We had these tubes and glass jars that we're using to do sound effects and stuff.
Look, I think we were pretty darn creative myself. I don't know.
Yeah, we weren't on drugs.
No,
there's no drugs involved in this. It was just us being stupid teenagers.
Being 15, 16, 17-year-old kids,
Sure.
Yeah, but
good times.
It was good times. Yeah, definitely. So I want to get into this real quick, okay? And no one's called, so I don't have to take a shot yet. That's awesome, huh? Oh, wait, hang on. There's another
count if I call.
No, wait. There's a comment. Let's see. When did you? Hang on. Debbie's asking. When did you get the flyer? Or wait. Well, where did you get the flyers printed? Kinko's is my guess. Is that how? No, Debbie. We didn't have Kinko's back then. We hand drew all this stuff, and then we took it and we Xeroxed copies of it.
Yeah, I don't remember where we went. It was like a 10-cent sheet, something.
It was just freehand everything, Come on, we're old school.
And in terms of us getting to business, I mean, often we'd be out doing somebody's yard, and the neighbor would come over. Hey, how much to do my yard?
We charged $5 to do the front yard, and we charged a whole $2 extra to do the backyard. Are you kidding me? Most backyards are bigger than the front yards. We were just And then we would charge a couple extra bucks if they wanted the hedges trimmed or something like that.
I remember my dad lecturing me about that, saying how come I could go out and do other people's yards and stuff, but I couldn't do our yard. And I remember telling him, they pay me. Oh, that didn't make him happy, right? Because he bought my clothes and he paid me my food.
Yeah, that's right.
He had a roof over my head.
But you know what? In all fairness, though, the only yard work you would have had to do at your house is trim the hedges and maybe pick some oranges up. Because they must have had a half a dozen to 8, 10 citrus trees on their property. Instead of grass, The whole thing was red brick.
Yeah, the front yard's still like that. It was just
It
two
is.
trees, what, tangerine and an orange tree in the front. Yeah, but there was grass in the back. So, but it's a small
A little tiny path.
That's a great house.
That was a great house. That was great.
We had
five bedrooms, like 4 bathrooms. You had your own bathroom. That was awesome.
It was.
And your bedroom was like on the complete opposite side of the house. So at 2 o'clock in the morning when we were raising Cain, no one else could hear us because everyone else was, that was a big house too. That was a big house.
I think my parents were paying like $98,000 for that house.
Yeah,
$98,000. That house, when I remember looking at it it was for sale, and I stopped in, and they were asking like 1.7 million.
Wow.
I was like, my God. And my parents lost it because, my dad was out of work, and then my mom was not able to maintain the house payment, which was like, it was nothing. It was, and I was in the Corps, but nobody told me. I probably would have stayed in the Marine Corps if they had told me that.
Right.
And my life would have been completely different.
Man. Yes. Former service member right here, USMC. That's right. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
Yeah. Nothing compared to these guys that served in the Second World War, and I'm very thankful to God to say I never served in any combat, and I'm so glad about that, because I can't even imagine those people who do serve and do that. They all deserve our gratitude, and they earn our respect by doing those things.
Man, how about that? Yesterday was D-Day. Yesterday was the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and I didn't have this down here to talk about because I don't want to bring down the show. But I'll tell you what, it actually deserves a few minutes of our time, because what an event in the history of mankind.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
In the history of the world.
And especially when you come to think that there are people out there today in other nations and of different beliefs who will deny all the stuff that happened by the German army and the Nazi party.
Right.
They just deny the Holocaust happened at all. And yeah, I don't want to bring anything down too, but the people who took up the charge and said, we're willing to go and lay down our lives for freedom.
Man, I know. Yes, absolutely. So that we could be free. And because of those brave men, thousands of brave men that gave their lives, and thank God, God had his hand on those guys, whether they gave their lives that day or they made it through. And man, because of those brave men on that day, we can sit here and do this today. We can kid around and goof off.
Every person that experiences liberty and pursues whatever about the Constitution, their pursuit of liberty, life, and happiness, it's because people have fought.
Yeah.
The beginning of the country until today, because even with the stuff that happened in 9/11, we went to a war in Afghanistan, and a lot of bad things happened in war, period, right?
That's right.
We all agree. But in terms of the freedom that's earned as a result, hey, we haven't had another major terrorist attack. And that's a lot of that happening, and, could happen again. But God's in control.
Yeah. But boy, I'll tell you what, just the bravery that those guys showed in, like you said, I mean, come on. They were at such a disadvantage on that day. You're talking up like 400 yards of a beach that's wide open, no cover. And you're coming in on what were those boats called? I can't even remember now.
Transport.
Yeah, but there was a different name for it.
Transport. I don't know what they're
anyway, but man, that door would drop, and guys were getting picked off one at a time right out of the gate before their feet even hit the sand. And the guys who were able to make it, I mean, it was an impossible mission, and they made it happen. They completed the mission. Took down tyranny, took down the Nazi Party, took down Hitler. It was major. It was the turning point in World War II, for sure. The turning point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So God bless all the men who sacrificed their lives on that day, and God bless the guys who came back. Yeah.
And
Thanks,
their
guys.
families. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for that.
Amen.
So anyway, all right. So look, today is National Donut Day. How many of you out there know that? How many of you knew that today is National Donut Day? Well, guess what? We're celebrating. Yes, because I stopped at Krispy Kreme and picked up 2 dozen donuts. You know, I just had to. I just had to. I could have brought plates up. I didn't bring any plates.
No, I can't eat.
All right, fine. I'll eat them by myself.
You can have them.
I bought a dozen of their original glaze, and then these are just like my favorites.
It's crack right there.
The chocolate ice glaze. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah, they are like crack, and I've never been on crack.
Oh,
But yeah, no, this is good stuff. And so professional eating on the air. Isn't that great?
oh.
Stuffing your face on the air.
You couldn't have had something with more protein in it.
But look, I don't know how many of you out there like donuts. I love donuts. I love cronuts too.
I love donuts too. That's why I'm trying to lose some weight.
Yeah.
So.
There's a couple of things that go great with donuts. Water is not one of them. Okay, so I had to bring a cold glass of milk up here. We've been going for, I don't know, like 30 minutes, so it's probably not very cold anymore. But cold glass of milk or a nice cup of hot cocoa. Yeah, that goes great with donuts.
I can't argue with that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's not real cold anymore.
Yeah, you always been a milk guy though too. You really enjoy milk.
Milk, it does the body good. You know?
I can remember the days when my mom used to get mad because we 4 of us, right, growing up, and they'd buy a gallon or 2 gallons of milk, and we drink it all in like 2 days.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And then my mom would be all upset. You drink all that, and I remember my dad telling her, "Well, what are they supposed to do? Why did we buy it?"
Yeah.
So then she would buy that evaporated milk, and she would put like half and half, and we could tell, and we're like, oh.
Or the powdered milk.
Yeah. Evaporated milk, that's what I'm talking about. Powdered milk, yeah.
Oh,
it was horrible.
Yeah, mixed with water. Oh, jeez. Wow, bad stuff. Somebody got to call in. Now, I've never had Malort with a donut, so tonight could be a first. Tonight could be a first. Okay, I'll let you know. Somebody calls into the show tonight, and I will not only pour a shot of Malort, I'll not only put a nasty bean in there. Okay, yeah, I got the beans right here. Okay, but I'll dump my donut in the Malort. All right, how's that? Just for you. Just for you. Okay, guys? So take advantage. Take advantage, all right? So yeah, National Donut Day. Good stuff. Put in the come on, someone leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite donut place is, and then maybe tell me what your favorite donut is as well. Come on, you got to participate. All right.
Danielle is hooked on U.S. Donuts buttermilk bars right over there off of Hadley.
Oh, wait. Hadley and wait. Where's that?
It's changed around over there so much now. Where the Hadley 5 Points, the Hadley car wash is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be an old school car wash. I think they even did a semi-R-rated, some soft porn movie there one time.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
But there's like a nice car wash there now,
Yeah.
and they have the what do you call it? The Armed Forces recruiting station.
Right there.
Right next door, there's a
yes, I know where you're talking.
very popular place. They get the Keno lottery in there, and then they always a lot of winners, $2,000, $10,000 winners over there.
Yeah.
But we go in there and get the donuts.
See, Matt still lives in our old stomping grounds of Whittier. Yeah, he still does.
Oh, I moved back. Yeah, I'm literally living less than a mile from where you grew up.
Where we were, where we were wreaking havoc over the neighborhood.
when we used to play like Ding Dong.
Yeah, I was telling Tess. Tess was on the show a couple months back, and so I don't know. We got to talking about my childhood or whatever. I don't know. She likes hearing those stories, just like when Jake and Aaron were growing up, and they like to hear about all the stupid stuff that we did as kids. And I was telling them about all the doorbell ditch that we did, or just idiot stuff where we would knock on someone's door and then go stand on the sidewalk, and when they would open the door, we'd just do jumping jacks. Just dumb stuff.
Or somebody, we'd pretend to jump somebody on
Yeah.
their front yard.
Big fight. Yeah, big fight. Try to get somebody to holler at us, or call the police or whatever, that kind of thing. We chase somebody. We pick somebody out of the group and then chase them down the street. And okay, now when we're growing up, Matt was the biggest out of all of us. He was pretty much the tallest, and he was pretty much the stockiest one out of all of us. Okay, and I don't know how he gets this idea. Okay, I'm going to be the guy now that you're chasing down the street. Okay, you're going to be beating me up. Yeah. Remember that night? No, there was a guy. Okay, one of the guys named George Graves. Yeah, he was great at it because he would scream and holler, and he was great at it.
He sounded like a girl.
He did sound like a girl. Please help. And so people were freaking out over it. So Matt's, all right, I'm up now. And I just said, Matt's always had this voice. He's running down the street, and like I said, he's the biggest guy, and he's running like this with his arms out. He's like, "Leave me alone! Hey, get away! Leave me alone!" And I'm going, no, I don't even buy this. Are you serious?
Yeah, nobody bought it.
No, nobody bought it. But
That's hilarious. Good times. Good days.
It's funny. Okay, so I just called Matt last night or yesterday afternoon. I've been on nights all week. So today, of course, is my Friday, and that's why I'm here. I've been up since, I don't know, like 7:00 last night. I haven't even gone to sleep yet. So if I get loopy, you'll know why.
Loopier.
Or yeah, okay, loopier. So I called Matt yesterday afternoon. I'm like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing tomorrow night?" "I don't know, nothing. I don't think." "Hey, why don't you come on the podcast? I'm going to stream it live. Let's just get together. Let's have some fun." So here he is. But I got this. Remember, it was the last Friday Night Live we did, and I introduced some vinyl. And remember, I said it was my buddy Matt on a Sunday morning. I'm eating cereal at the table right before I'm getting ready to leave for church, and Matt sends me this message on Facebook with the eBay link for 441. Hang on, let me get it right here.
441. You first heard them at Knott's Berry Farm.
Well, that wasn't where I first heard them, but we saw them live.
Yeah, we saw them.
Yeah, we saw them. Live. Where'd it go? I put it in here. There it is. Wait, is that it? Yeah. Yeah. Remember this one from a couple weeks ago? You guys remember this one? So I picked that one up, and but what was so weird about that? I'll get back on mic here, people, and I hope the sound is gotten a little bit better. I apologize for it. We're gonna try to fix something. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to buy a couple more microphones. I don't know. Anyhow, so where I'm going with that story is this message comes from out of the blue. Matt, he I don't know, what was it, around 2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there.
I don't know what you're looking
Yeah.
You're talking about things happened in 2010.
Matt left. He moved out of Whittier and went to seminary.
That was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was doing courses from home.
Yeah.
But we had made the decision to go full time to seminary so I could get everything done in 3 years.
And where was the
City Seminary, Sacramento?
Sacramento. Okay. So that's how you ended up up north to start.
Well, we were going to go to South Dakota, but that ended up not working out because the two professors who were the main draw at that particular seminary were they left. And so then I called the dean and I said, "So what's going on?" And he said, well, don't worry. Any courses that you can't do live here, and there's going to be one teacher,
Right.
he says you can do distance learning. And I was like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of why we were planning on moving there. I wanted to do live courses.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Well, because when I was doing the courses from home, the problem was is I'd be reading this stuff, which was assigned, but he would hold the class, and then I would watch the recording, and then if I did have questions, I would have to submit the questions, but then continue with the reading. And so by the time they got back to me a week later, I was already 5 or 6 questions ahead, where I was like, I had these other issues.
It just wasn't real productive.
It wasn't, and it's just much more. It's much more engaging, and you have relationships that you build when you're in seminary, like we talked about the friendship,
right?
And those go on forever. And I appreciate the men that I met, and were encouraged by being there in classes with them. It made the difference. So we ended up switching to Sacramento, and the nice thing about City Seminary is that they attempt to teach on the budget that you have. They offer a lot of free courses to anybody in the area who is a member of a church, and it didn't matter what denomination you were a member of, and so you could graduate from seminary without owing $150,000 to $200,000.
Could it really cost that much?
Yeah, Yowza, to get a match. So I graduated free of debt. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Very nice. I praise God for that.
So where I'm going with this is Matt leaves, moves up north, goes to seminary. Then I know he's pastoring at a church in Auburn, right?
It was Grass Valley.
Okay, close enough, right?
We moved to Auburn. Yeah.
Okay. And really, to be honest, we've been out of touch for quite some time. Yeah, we're friends on Facebook, but our we're not showing up on each other's timelines really, And so that message on that Sunday morning was so out of the blue, and it was so right on the money. And I sent him a message right back. I mean, inside of 5 minutes, just bought it, just bought the album, And then we started kind of messaging back and forth. And I thought, let me just look up his profile, or whatever. So I clicked on it, and it says he's living in Whittier. And I'm going, you got to be kidding me. I said, okay, wait a second, because I know it used to say something else. So I messaged him. I said, are you back in Whittier? He says, yeah. How long you been here? 3 years. Oh, okay. You said, okay, no, that you're right. 2 years. You said it was a year after your mother passed.
Yeah, we moved a year after.
That's right.
22.
Yeah. So it's like, come on, serious? So get the message, buy the album.
No, I like this part. You're leaving this part out. So
what am I leaving out?
So when I had sent the thing, he goes, you would ask me, how did I know about it? I said, well, I follow you. And then, because I told you in the message, I said, have a good time at the lunch.
The what?
The alumni lunch.
Yeah.
You're all, how do you know I'm going to the lunch? And I'm all, because I follow you on Facebook.
Yeah. So it just, and
it's like I knew you got the Golden Mike Award, remember? Yeah. I remember I called you up and congratulated you. You're like, how do you know? I'm like, because I follow you.
Gosh, Jake was still in high school when I got that. Yeah, he was still in high school when I got that Golden Mike Award. Yeah. Okay. So, wow, okay.
I just took him back, folks.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Yeah, so what was really cool about that is I just said to Matt, I said, well, I'm getting ready to go to church. By the way, you still got the same phone number, right? Yep. Okay. So last week, I was on vacation, and so Matt was nice enough to take a day off, and we had a great lunch last Thursday. It was a great lunch.
Restaurant. What is it called?
El Torito Grill.
El Torito Grill. They're right off of Colima.
No, right off of Lambert and the freeway. Yeah,
Lambert.
Yeah. Good food, good stuff. We had a great lunch, great conversation. doing a little more catch up and all that. And so, getting back to the first 3 minutes of the show, when we're talking about friendships, when you have a real true bond with somebody, and a stretch of time goes by when you haven't spoken to someone, you haven't seen them, you come back together and you pick up right where you left off. And that's exactly how it was last week.
Yeah, I mean that's how I've always measured friendship.
Yeah.
I imagine I've been estranged from somebody who my cousin Brian, for many years,
Yes.
and I did him wrong. I stabbed him in the back. I readily said that. I've apologized for it, and I've seen him on one occasion since then. And but if I ever saw him and had the opportunity to speak with him, I would hope that the good times that we did have together would trump the things that were bad that occurred. And because I love him, I pray for him and his
Yeah.
family, and same like with you.
Yeah.
I mean, something like I pray for you every day, but anytime I think about you, I would pray
Oh, yeah.
for you. And I saw that you had gotten engaged and then married, and so I was happy about that.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with Sherry too on Facebook.
And I have told anybody and everybody that knew the both of us, don't choose sides. You're her friend too. You can be friends with both of us. It's no big deal.
She was a great lady. Yeah, I love her to death.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't. She lives in Tennessee, so it's unlike.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be getting together for lunch anytime.
But I totally envy the fact that she goes to all these great concerts and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's part of what she's doing for a living now. Yeah, she's working some security
Good
company.
on her.
Yeah, she does get to see a lot of great shows. I got donut glaze on me. You know what?
That's what you get.
That was a good donut, though. I try not to rub it in, but I could get in and have another one too.
No.
So, okay. I mentioned Kim Curry, that he was a guest on the show last week. It was a really good interview. Kim's a good storyteller. I encourage everybody to give it a view. Just give it a look. It's actually doing well. The audio version of that particular show is doing really well. So I'm kind of surprised that the audio version is doing much better than the YouTube version or the video version.
Oh, that's right. I mean, I think that's
Maybe.
that's the thing about podcasting, is that you can have the video version and the audio version, and the audio version will outperform quite often because people spend a lot of time in their cars commuting,
Yeah.
and they can listen, they don't have to watch.
Well, I wish that was the case with my podcast. I wish the audio version did outperform the video, but it doesn't. But that's okay. It's just the way it is, and we'll just take this. We take it one show at a time. This is actually episode number 49, and I was really thinking that Adam Holland was going to be episode number 50. Man, I was going to have like streamers and balloons and everything in here. Probably have a cake. Now I'm not going to get to eat cake.
I'm available.
So, so really, check out that episode. But let me talk about somebody that's coming up in the next couple of weeks also. I have an author coming up. Her name is Penny Ann, and she is a true crime writer. And she reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in having her on the podcast. And I thought, well, I mean, okay, I had Kim on, and he is an author now. But as far as authors, that he's the only one I've had on the show. I am trying to get another author on as well. She's a motivational speaker, and she gave me her book to read, and I just have like no time to read. I think I read about 4 pages of it, and I haven't picked it up since. And yeah, so I can get on that so I can have her on the show. But so Penny, she's a true crime writer, and she has a fascinating story, and she wants to share it. So we are going to be recording that show on Saturday the 22nd. So it'll post that morning if you're in the Pacific time zone. Yeah, we're gonna do it early in the morning. She's in Texas, and of course I'm here in California. So we're gonna make it happen. She's really excited. We talked, her and I talked for about half hour yesterday, the day before yesterday. She's so sweet. Oh my gosh! And I was blown away. I was like, okay, well, I just got a little old tiny podcast here,
So can you give us anything without giving anything away?
No, it's just a really fascinating story. So you'll have to listen to the show. But she's sending me a book. I'm gonna try to skim it a little bit, but I primarily want it so that I can show you the book on the show, and you guys can get out there and make your purchases on it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because uh, yeah, she was just really neat to talk to. Like I said, we talked for about 30 minutes the other day, and just really, really nice. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up on the 22nd. Okay, so stay tuned for that, and I'll keep reminding you before we get there. So that's kind of what's coming up on the podcast. Oh, yes. Well, I'm going to get into another donut real quick first. I had a chocolate, so now I'm going to have an original glaze. You're more than welcome to these, but it's up to you. So
I had my calorie limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I was talking about the vinyl, and I told you I had a couple other things that I had purchased. Sorry about getting off mic there. But I told you I had a couple other things that I purchased, and I was waiting for them to come in. I'll start with this one since it's a CD. We all know, we talked about it, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, that Journey's Greatest Hits, Journey's Greatest Hits just hit like 800 consecutive weeks on the Billboard Top 200 album chart. It's been on the chart like ever since it came out. It's never been off the chart. I think that's absolutely fabulous.
Greatness.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone's aware, but Journey released a Greatest Hits 2. And I think that was, I don't know. Let me get my glasses out. I didn't own this one. I never picked it up. I don't Greatest Hits.
When you own every other album,
Well,
you already have them, right?
That's right. So sometimes it's not necessary to buy a Greatest Hits package because
Yeah, I just go into my playlist and put all the songs.
No, you got to have the physical form. 2011, I think is what that says. 2011 is when this came out. Now, I said at the time we talked about Journey's Greatest Hits that let me scoot over here so I can look at you and look at them. That Journey's Greatest Hits had sold over 16 million copies.
Wow.
And that was long before the announcement on its longevity on the top 200 chart. So who knows? That could be in upwards of 20 million copies already. And I mean that's just awesome for an album to sell like that. The Escape album is a diamond album, more than 10 million. Like I said, Greatest Hits is a diamond album. It could be, like I said, 20 million seller. Who knows? So I never picked this one up, but it's got great songs. It's obviously it says Greatest Hits 2. Well, if you go and see Journey live, then yeah, you can say this is Greatest Hits 2 because it's a lot of stuff that's in the set list, and they change their set list up from time to time. But I'll be quite honest with you. When I first saw it on eBay, right after I made the purchase, I was like, oh, oops, that's Greatest Hits 2. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted to buy. It's called Essential Journey.
I know that.
I had it, but it was in my Hummer when it was stolen, so I need to replace it. So that's what I thought I was buying because it's got a purple cover on it, like Essential Journey does. Anyway, so I don't know. Ask me where I was going with that one, but I picked it up, and so I got a couple of albums here. You all know that I absolutely love this band. Love this band. I'm trying to get, and I talk about guests I want to get on the podcast, and then I don't get them. So, but
and it's all his brother Jim's fault.
and there's a writer for what's it called? Spinning something or other. I can't recall, but he has a channel on here on YouTube, and his name's Phil Afton. Watched one of his videos, and he did it on this band, Uriah Heep. He's a huge Heep fan. So I thought, oh, I got to get this guy on the show. We got to talk some Uriah Heep here. And so I've been going through and trying to get and collect my vinyl and all that. And this one I used to have as a kid, and remember, I sold my albums in '83. We're not going to rehash that story again, okay? Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself. Look at that cover. It's got actual mirror on there, and that was what was so awesome about it. And you can see, I can see my wait. Let's get in there, Matt. Oh, look at there we are. Wait, look at those noses.
Mine's bigger.
Two of the biggest noses you've ever seen.
Mine is bigger.
In high school, we took all the measurements on our noses.
That was my mom did that.
Yeah, the length, how far it stuck out, how white it was, everything. And when you added it all up, they were the exact same dimension, or they were the exact same measurements. Like his was like maybe a little bit longer this way, but mine stuck out a little further, and whatever it was. But that all equaled the same measurements. Who does that stuff?
My mom, yeah. She's with her micrometers, yeah.
Yeah, we rip on each other on how big our noses are, and were, and still are.
That's how big of geeks we are. Yeah.
That's how stupid we are. But Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself. This came out in 1970, I think. Let me double check the math on it. 71, July of 71. That's right, because this was this was like their third album. They had 5 albums out by the time they hit their live album in 73. But it's got some of the great stuff on here. The title track, Look at Yourself, great song. July Morning. Remember, I did my Uriah Heep top 20, and July Morning was my number 1 song. That was number 1 on the list. There's another one on here, Tears in My Eyes. You got to hear the live version of this song. So awesome. Ken Hensley steps out from behind the Hammond organ and just kills it on slide guitar. Kills it. It's so good. So good. But yeah, good stuff. I'm so happy to see it. And it's in really good condition. Really good condition. And remember, I don't even have a turntable. I don't. So this was the next one. This was the next one I picked up. And I've been telling you about this one, people. Uriah Heep Live, 1973. Yeah. Man, one of the best live albums ever from anyone. And remember, I was telling you this when I did the Kiss Live albums ranked. And I was telling you that Kiss Alive, they got the idea for that album, for the packaging on the album, from this right here. You open this up, you open the gatefold, and there you have a biography on the members of the band. You've got David Byron right there, Mr. Operatic with his shirt open and all that good stuff. Yeah, look at that. Great. And the booklet is in awesome condition. So awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
The great Ken Hensley on keyboard and guitars and vocals. Oh, what a tremendous songwriter. Mick Box, lead guitarist. Still,
this is what we miss with all the electronic and the MP3s. Is we miss this kind of artwork and the dedication.
And remember, we would
the collectability.
That's right. You put this on your stereo.
Yeah.
You sit down and you lean up against your bed and you sit down on the floor and you put this on your lap and you just stare at the cover. If it's got pictures, you flip the pictures. Oh, yeah. And the great Lee Kerslake. I talked about him not too long ago. Talked about him in his documentary. The great Lee Kerslake. Oh, the bear. Gary Thane, and I'm saying great about every single one of these guys because this lineup here is known as their classic lineup, and these guys were so proficient in what they did and what they brought to the band, and they had such a tremendous reputation. And it's a shame that these guys weren't any bigger than they are. But and then you got a stage shot right here from behind the stage. I think we got a little light on that. And then the discography, 5 albums leading up to the live one, and then some candid shots right there, and away we go. Great album. The best version of July Morning is on this. It's live. The best version of Tears in My Eyes, you really get to hear Ken rip it up on slide guitar. Good stuff. I just want to share some vinyl with you people, okay? It doesn't matter. Every show we have to throw in a little bit of music talk, right?
For sure. Why not?
So Matt, now when we were growing up, I mean, we had a lot of the same. We liked a lot of the same artists and bands.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's some.
Well, I didn't really get into music until I went to Okinawa.
Yeah, you brought back a ton of it.
Well, they had all the bootleg albums.
Right.
I could buy a bootleg album over there for $3 on a cassette. It was high quality.
Yeah.
So I came back with like 40 or 50 albums.
I remember.
But what really got me into music, and Rush particularly, was they had these drinking houses where you would go in, basement, some building, and you'd go in and they would have these concert-sized speakers set up, hooked up to some high-fidelity sound system and a wall of vinyl. And you would go through the book and pick what you wanted to listen to. And I had a friend, Steve Jensen, still remember his name. He was a corporal. We weren't supposed to hang out because I was only a PFC.
And he's an officer.
But not
well, yeah.
But you're not supposed to mix. And he was the one who introduced me to Rush. And I remember sitting down there and listening to 2112 and just having my mind blown. And just couldn't get enough. I'm still a big Rush fan today.
I remember when you had come back from Japan, you were just huge on Rush.
Oh, yeah.
You were huge on Rush.
I remember I came back and you guys were all at Anthony's house. And I came over there and you were like, oh, man. And then you were like, yeah, when you're back. And you're like, you have to see this new video that came out by Aldo Nova. And I'm like, is it the one where he shoots the laser? Oh, God, how did you know it just came out? I'm like, we've been watching it in Japan for like 2 months.
Yeah. That album just celebrated 42 years last month. No, May. 42 years last month, yeah. And I saw Aldo. I saw him in Vegas. So it's the first time since 1982 that I'd seen him live.
Yeah, I've only been to a handful of concerts ever, but yeah, I mean, music is an important part of our lives in every aspect, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's why when I started the podcast, I had a couple of things kicking around and, ideas of what I wanted to do. And I'd scratch out my ideas and I recorded a couple test shows, just audio. I have a little Zoom recorder in the basket right there.
Okay.
So they're on an SD card in there. They may never see the light of day. They may never get past the studio here. Those 2 little recordings, and I was like, yeah, like one of them, it sounded like I had no energy at all, and I was like, okay, all right, let's tweak this, tweak that, tweak this one over here. Let's do it again. And I hit record again right afterwards. And then energy level was higher and kind of goofed off, did a few things, and went for about 35 minutes or so. Played it back. I'm like, okay, this is like no energy. This is too much energy. I sounded like a morning zoo or something. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I know I wanted to have fun when I did this, but I know also that, like I told you, and it's right there, right in the show description. Tell your story.
Right. People who may be watching this and probably people that mostly, and then hopefully the word of mouth gets around and you start having interesting people coming on, like the last guest that you had.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get into true crime and you can get some sort of trend there, there's a lot of really interesting stories there.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of we lived in the Hacienda Heights house when the Night Stalker was.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I mean, and so these
Yeah.
type of events that are they're historical events. They invade the mind of the culture, and they live on. I mean, he was our boogeyman.
Most
We
definitely.
had bats in every room, and we were always double.
Pop had his knife that was about this big under his pillow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that was
not only that, but what you're doing a podcast. I mean, you talk about energy level, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, "Well, I could never do that." Yeah, the truth is, anybody can do it. You can do this if this is something that you're interested in. Take some time. You're always going to be harder on yourself, but here's a secret that a lot of people don't know: when a photographer takes pictures, and you go, "Man, you're such a great photographer," he doesn't show you all the pictures. Because I shot wedding photos for a few years, and I made a little money at it.
Yeah.
And people would say, "You do such great pictures." I go, "Yeah, man, but you don't see all the bad pictures that I don't show you."
That's right.
And
That's right.
and I'm sure Picasso could look at his photo or paintings and go, "I didn't like this part right here." Right? Van Gogh, the same thing. Michelangelo. I'm sure he could see his sculptures and he would know exactly where the flaws were, that we would just look at the genius of what he was doing.
Yeah.
And not that we're geniuses or that Ben's a genius. I don't think he thinks of himself that way. Well,
kind of
maybe in the shower.
He's a legend in his own shower, that's for sure.
Because when we all sing in the shower, we're all legends.
That's right.
But, you could do this. And I think calling in and talking, engaging, if you had regular callers, that you might think, "Oh, well, what would I call and talk about?" Well, what do you want to talk about?
That's right.
If you're having a bad day and you stubbed your toe, that's a story, right?
Yeah.
You lost a cat, you lost a dog, you lost a mom, you lost a brother. And those are things to talk about. And this forum is such a good forum because it allows people to just express themselves and tell their story. And everybody has a story.
That's what I say. Everyone has a story, not just the famous.
Yeah.
And, just look.
And the famous, they don't, they're like, "I'm just like anybody else," right? My job just happens to be I get up on stage and sing.
Right.
If they're down home, of course there are those others that are, crazy. But most down to earth artists are going to be like, "Hey, I'm just a regular person, and this happens. I'm blessed to be able to do this."
Right.
Yeah. And then I might want to have the talent of somebody that can play guitar or something, and I can tell you, if you're hearing me now and you're hearing this voice, and Ben was, alluding to it earlier, I've been told more than once in my life, "You should be doing radio."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just like, if somebody had given me the opportunity, I'm sure I'd be doing radio.
Well, remember, and this is what I talked about with Kim Curry last week, and I had a phone call with him. It was on Memorial Day. We recorded the show the following day, but I asked him to call me the day before, so I could just kind of say, "Hey, look, this is what I want to go over. This is what I want to talk about, and it's just going to be loose, and wherever the conversation takes it, that's where we're going to go." And he's like, "Okay, that's great." And then he said, in the first 30 seconds, he says to me, "You have a radio voice," and I was like, I stopped. And I thought, wow, for somebody who did radio for 33 years, thank you very much. And then last week, I told you I happened into this podcast studio, a couple miles down the road, and oh my gosh, the equipment they had in there. But the first thing out of the guy's mouth, he says, "You have a radio voice." And
podcast MD.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. So, I'm certainly not going to let it swell my head because, I've got like 4 viewers right now. We've been as high as 6 tonight. And we'll see what happens when we post it.
I apologize for being so ugly and driving people away from the show.
Well, you know what? Hey, you're going to come back on the show. We're gonna shave that off on the show.
There's no chance that's happening. None whatsoever. Now, wait a minute. How much money are we talking about?
make no money. Look, I make no money from this podcast. I paid to put this podcast on the air.
Oh, yeah, that's the truth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, the bottom line in all, Catherine pointed this out to me. I didn't even think about it. And she said this, I don't know, I was probably doing the show for about a month or 2 months or so. And she says, what you do when you have people come in studio that's a document. It's a video document. It's an audio document that their kids can listen to or watch, their grandkids. It's something that they can, oh my gosh, my grandpa was on this show and they talked about this, and look, or listen, that kind of thing. And I thought about, having one of my niece's dads come on, because he's in his 80s, and I was talking with him last week. He's got some great stories, and we were talking for a couple hours. He's just going on. I mean, look, you know me, I can just talk, and I had to shut up because he just one story after another.
And that's true. What you're saying is so true. Steven Spielberg wanted to document the Holocaust survivors for the very reason, because once those people were gone,
that's it.
Yeah, I can attest that, because I remember my little grandma, my great grandmother, she used to tell us the most hilarious stories.
Yeah,
she was a womanizer, she was a bootlegger. I mean, she just this was a lady who lived to be 89, and she had been around.
Yeah.
And when we could get the stories out of her, it was good stuff.
And going back to D-Day 80 years ago, we're down to just a very few veterans left, survivors from World War II. To be able to, I had the opportunity, I don't know, 12 years or so ago, I was in Hawaii and I did the Pearl Harbor tour. And I had done it before, and it's a great tour. It's a great memorial, great stuff. But this last time I was there and I did the tour, there were two guys. Oh, where's that? Oh, it's out on the bookshelf there. There were two veterans, survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack, and they were pitching this book. And it was a picture book, a little story from that day and all that. And I just said, just give me the book. Give me the book. Here's my money. Sign it for me. And I'm listening to them talk. And the difference between that visit and the visit before, which was, I don't remember how many years prior to that, there were no World War II veterans there that particular day. There were this day. And that was all it took. Seeing these survivors and I got just tears just were streaming down my face. Uncontrollable. I'm just standing there and uncontrollably. I had to walk away. I couldn't control myself because it was so emotional. And as big as Normandy is and was, that was in Europe. We had a very similar thing happen here that got us into the war. That got us dragged us into it, forced our hand into it, and it's just to visit, have a couple minutes with a survivor from that day.
Well, it's the reason why the movie Oppenheimer was so successful, and that's because all of this ties together in our history.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor happens, and then we have a bunch of scientists that get drawn in, and then we have the most devastating weapon ever created that still continues to threaten the survival of the race today.
Yeah.
And it's all tied to stories, right?
Yeah.
The story that Oppenheimer told was a mathematical story that he could see in his head, and he knew how to bring people together that were able to communicate with one another so that they could actually develop the atomic bomb. I mean, you don't think about it that way, but that's exactly, when you watch the movie, that's what the movie's about. It's about how Oppenheimer was the perfect person to bring people together so that they could communicate what they needed to communicate so that it could actually produce this weapon. And that's true of anything. If you look at Holocaust survivors, what did they do when they were imprisoned? They communicated. They spoke to each other. Right? some of the most interesting things that you'll ever read or learn about are people who are having a hard time. Look at Places in the Heart, Sally Fields, the movie. I'm a movie guy, right?
Yeah, you are.
It's totally about the Depression era, but there's also elements of Danny Glover plays this oppressed black man. There's the Ku Klux Klan towards the end of the film. There's the devastation of nature in that film, and stories are what drive us. And so you can have a relationship right here with this podcast by calling in and talking about your story, getting to know Ben and getting invited on the show. I didn't think I was going to be invited on the show, and it just turned out he needed me on a Friday night because nobody else was scheduled.
No. Unless Catherine's up here giving me something to drink or making summertime cocktails, I fly solo on Friday Night Live. It's just you and me. That's it, But yeah.
We can play it. We'll play Monopoly.
Oh God.
We'll roll the dice for you.
No. No, we're not doing that.
We play chess. I still play every day.
Oh my gosh. Just the things that we did. Look, we're going to cut it here, okay? Because I've kept you too long. And I so appreciate everybody being here. Everybody who's come in, come out, stuck around the whole time, whatever it is. This is two Friday Night Lives in a row that I am Malort free. So, I mean, thumbs up for me. It's bad for you, though. It's bad for you. Look,
he wants to drink it.
No.
He's begging you to call in.
No, but they were sticking it to me one time, one week. I think I had like 5 shots of Malort, and then Catherine and Jim were down in the dining room and they're drinking. They were tasting imperial stouts, barrel-aged imperial stouts. Good stuff. You know how to drink beer? It is very good. And so they're bringing me. Oh, try this. And then I'm taking 4 or 5 shots of Malort, and I was like, "Whoa, man!" I was like, "I got to finish this show here."
How many people now?
I don't know. We were up to 6. I think we're down to 5 now, but
hey, that's good.
Hey, 5's better than 4.
That's right.
Yeah. So, So look, people. This guy's coming back. You know, because we have music stories to share.
That's not for myself.
Yeah. So look, let's just wrap it right here because, like I said, I kept you guys for a while. We don't usually run this long on Friday Night Live, but when you get to talking to with 2 guys that can just talk.
Oh yeah. See, I preached for a living, so
yeah,
I can talk.
2 guys that can talk. It's not like I've said before. It's not like I love the sound of my voice. I just love to hear myself talk. And we're gonna cut it here. Okay, so that's gonna be a wrap. And I'm gonna finish it up by saying this program is available on multiple podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify, or just search the Ben Maynard program and you'll have multiple options to choose from. Go to Buzzsprout, okay? And if you're watching it just like you are right now, watching this on YouTube, then please subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment, all right? Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, Ben Maynard Program, all one word. That is it, folks. We are out. Thanks for being here. It's date night, Friday Night Live, Matt and I. This is the Ben Maynard Program. Tell a friend.